cold-hearted killers who brutally murdered a vulnerable friend before setting him on fire and then having sex will spend at least 28 years in jail. William Vale and Deborah Andrews were handed life sentences for killing Skelmersdale dad Eamon Brady in a brutal and sustained attack. Mr. Brady was hit in the head with a hammer at least 17 times and repeatedly stabbed and slashed in the neck and body in the early hours of 21 July 2018. Vale, 37, and Andrews, 44, then wrapped his body in bedding and set it on fire before stealing a PlayStation 4, soundbar, DVD player, and bank card belonging to their victim. Andrews later described the couple as the new Bonnie and Clyde. After the callous killing, the pair went to Beacon Country Park where they burned clothing and hid the weapons. They are also believed to have had sex in a nearby park hours after the attack, the court heard. They also went on to attempt to sell his PlayStation 4 and use the stolen bank card in a local shop. The evil couple, who had been friends with Mr. Brady for several years, bumped into him by chance after Vale had attended a funeral. They went back to his flat in Elmridge, Skelmersdale, where they drank and smoked cannabis. By the time of the murder, Vale, whose previous convictions include arson and criminal damage, had been drinking for 40 straight hours. The pair left the flat at around 4:50 a.m. and later told police that Mr. Brady was alive and well when they left. But recordings in the police van heard that Andrews was buzzing about the murder and describing the pair as the new Bonnie and Clyde. Vale of Evington, Skelmersdale, pleaded guilty to murder and arson was given a life sentence with a minimum of 28.5 years in prison. Andrews of Elmstead, Skelmersdale, was found guilty after a trial and given a life sentence with a minimum of 28 years in prison. Both appeared emotionless throughout the sentencing at Preston Crown Court, while Andrews sat with her hands in her pockets throughout. Prosecuting Francis McEntry said, "Mr. Brady was a vulnerable man who was regularly taken advantage of by those around him. He had earlier told family that he wanted to move out of Skelmersdale to escape from people who were leeching off him. He knew both of the victims well, having been friends for several years, and they had all spent the together socially in a happy, if noisy manner. Mr. Brady had been friends with Vale since their teenage years, and an earlier incident in which Vale stabbed him in the foot with a penknife was considered no more than horseplay, after Mr. Brady had laughed at him, getting hurt when he kicked a lamppost." An emotional victim statement read, on behalf of Mr. Brady's daughter, Amy Brady, told of the devastating effects she has suffered since the murder of her best friend. Her father's death came 17 days short of the second anniversary of her brother Ryan's death, and that after seeing his battered and burnt body, Mrs. Brady now regularly suffers nightmare and is left angry with the world. "There was a hole in my heart when my brother died that has been made bigger and will never be filled," it stated. "My dad was not only my dad, he was my entire being." Defending Vale, Stuart Denny said he had begun cannabis and alcohol use since before he was a teenager, and that Skelmersdale was the worst place in the world for him. Michael Lavery, defending Andrews, said she had limited capabilities and intelligence and was previously of good character. Sentencing the pair, Judge Mark Brown said, "Having killed him, you set fire to his body to destroy evidence of what had happened, and in doing so, you committed arson with reckless disregard for the lives of the other residents in the building who were asleep at the time. It's another matter of this case that having just murdered a man in extremely violent and brutal circumstances, that you had sex with each other soon after."